The bath that changed everything. Eli was just a normal human, or at least that's what he believed. He had never been special. Not on Earth, and not even here on the peaceful alien planet of Tursala 9, where humans and aliens now work together after years of space treaties. He had come to Tursala 9 as part of the human-alien exchange program. His job was boring, mostly scanning soil samples and recording data about local plants. But there was one thing unusual about his life here. He had 2 alien maids assigned to help him. Their names were Zyra and Keela. Zyra was tall and calm, with soft purple skin and glowing silver eyes. She never smiled but always moved with elegance. Keela was shorter, playful, and had eyes like molten gold. They both came from a warrior race called the Velari, but no one ever explained why such powerful aliens were acting as maids. Eli never asked questions. He just enjoyed the help. That night, after a long day in the fields, Eli filled his private bath with warm mineral water. It was a luxury he had grown used to on Tursala 9. The glowing stones under the water made everything feel magical. He sank into the bath with a sigh, letting his muscles relax. Steam rose around him. His eyes slowly closed. Then it happened. The door opened. Zyra and Keela walked in, speaking quickly in their alien language. Eli sat up in the water, startled. "Hey, I'm in the bath," he said, grabbing a towel and trying to cover himself. But the 2 alien women didn't react with embarrassment. In fact, they didn't seem surprised at all. They stopped and looked at him. No, watched him, like they were seeing something for the first time. Then Zyra whispered something in their language. Eli caught just a few words. He froze. He wasn't supposed to understand their language. But thanks to a small translating device he had secretly built with old tech parts, he had been learning bits of the Velari speech. And what she said: "He must be protected at all costs. The prophecy is true." Eli's heartbeat quickened. He pretended not to notice. "Do you mind?" he said, trying to stay calm. Keela blinked and nodded. "Apologies, Eli," she said softly. Then they both turned and left the room, their eyes still locked on him for a moment longer than normal. Eli sat there, frozen. His mind was racing. What prophecy? Why did he need protection? And why did they say, "It's true"? He finished his bath in silence, no longer relaxed. When he dried off and stepped into his room, he noticed something else. The door to the guest hallway was slightly open. That hallway led to a special room, one he had been told never to enter. It was supposed to be a supply storage area, but something about it always felt hidden. That night, he couldn't sleep. Lying in bed, Eli stared at the ceiling. His mind replayed those words again and again. He must be protected at all costs. The prophecy is true. Why him? He wasn't rich. He wasn't powerful. He had no military experience. He was just a soil technician. But the look in their eyes, it was like they were seeing something inside him that even he didn't know was there. At 2 a.m., he quietly got out of bed and opened his small computer pad. He opened a private folder where he had been saving translations of the Velari language. Slowly, he typed in the sentence Zyra had said. The translation popped up. It was correct. He looked deeper into his notes and found something else, a word he hadn't noticed before. Saykareth. It appeared in the same sentence multiple times across different texts he had copied. He checked the meaning. The word meant chosen star. His hands trembled slightly. What did it mean? Just then, there was a soft knock at the door. He turned, startled. Zyra stood there. She didn't speak. She only looked at him for a long time. Then, in a voice lower than he had ever heard, she said, "You heard us, didn't you?" Eli opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. Zyra stepped closer, her face serious. "You need to prepare yourself. Things are going to change very soon. And you need to be ready, before they come for you." Then she turned and walked away, leaving Eli in the dark, with one thought burning in his mind. Who exactly was he? And what had he just become a part of? The secret they tried to hide. Eli barely slept that night. Zyra's words echoed in his mind like thunder in a quiet canyon. You need to prepare yourself before they come for you. Who were they? Why was he suddenly at the center of some mysterious alien prophecy? Morning came, but it didn't feel like any normal day. The sky above Tursala 9 was a strange shade of blue-green, and the usual soft hum of the forest outside his dome house felt quieter, like the whole planet was holding its breath. Eli sat at the breakfast table, staring at a plate of glowing alien fruit, untouched. Keela entered the room first, carrying a data pad, humming softly like she always did. But today, there was no smile on her face. Her eyes flicked toward Eli, then away, like she was trying to avoid something. Zyra came in next. Her posture was stiff, alert. She didn't greet him. Eli couldn't stay quiet anymore. What did you mean last night? He asked. About them coming for me. Keela paused. Zyra's eyes narrowed, calculating. You weren't supposed to hear that, Zyra said quietly. You shouldn't have understood. I did, Eli replied. And I want the truth now. There was a long silence. Then Zyra sat down across from him. You think you're just a technician, don't you? Just another human on this planet, she said. Eli nodded slowly. You're not, Keela said, her voice softer than usual. You're something more. Zyra reached into her robe and pulled out a small triangular device made of shimmering crystal. She placed it gently on the table. The moment it touched the surface, the air shimmered. A hologram lit up, showing an old symbol, a human figure surrounded by 7 stars. This is from the Velari archives, Zyra said. It is more than 10,000 cycles old, before the galaxy was divided, before your species was forgotten. Forgotten? Eli asked. Zyra nodded. Your kind once stood beside ours, not as servants, as equals, as protectors. That's impossible, Eli said. Humans just made first contact 100 years ago. That's what you've been told, Keela said. But your history was rewritten, erased, because you were dangerous. Eli leaned back, stunned. Dangerous? I work with dirt samples. Zyra tapped the hologram. The image changed, showing a human man covered in glowing patterns, runes etched into his skin, standing on a battlefield, arms raised, as energy blasted out of him like a wave. This is the Seikarath, the chosen star, the one who carries the sleeping spark of the old blood. Only one is born every 5,000 years. And you're saying that's me. Zyra looked him straight in the eye. We didn't choose you, Eli. The universe did. Keela finally sat beside him. You were assigned to us not because you needed help, but because we were sworn to guard the next Seikarath, if they ever returned. Eli tried to process what he was hearing. It felt like something out of a dream, or a nightmare. But how do you even know I'm the one? He asked. Keela hesitated. Your blood was tested. Quietly, it matched the ancient markers, the genetic codes from the archives. Eli's heart pounded. You tested my blood. It was necessary, Zyra said. You needed to be confirmed before the others found out. Others? Zyra stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the peaceful valley stretched out like it always had, but far on the horizon, a dark shape hovered. They're already searching, she said. Not everyone wants the Seikarath to awaken. You're a threat to the control they've built over centuries. Keela's voice dropped to a whisper. That's why we're leaving. Tonight. Leaving? Where? To the Sanctum of Echoes, Zyra said. It's a hidden place. Safe. It holds the memories of the First War. And answers. Eli looked between them. And if I don't go? Keela didn't answer. She just stared at the dark shape on the horizon. It was growing larger. Suddenly, a soft peep came from the wall panel. Zira moved quickly and tapped it. A red message blinked across the screen in the Velari language. Unauthorized signal detected near perimeter. Unregistered aerial unit approaching. Zira's face hardened. They found us. Keela stood quickly, pulling something from her cloak. It wasn't a cleaning tool. It was a weapon. A slender blade that shimmered in and out of visibility. Eli felt his world shift again. These weren't maids. They were warriors. And he was something far more important than a simple man. "Go pack," Zyra said firmly. "Take only what matters. We leave in 1 hour." Eli stood there frozen for a moment, his mind spinning. And then he asked the question that had been sitting in the back of his mind since the bath. Why me? Why would the universe choose someone like me? Keela walked up and touched his shoulder gently. Because, Eli, sometimes the universe doesn't choose the strongest. It chooses the one who can change everything. Assassins from the stars. Eli packed as fast as he could. His hands trembled as he stuffed a small satchel with a few clothes, a translator chip, his notebook, and the only photo he had from Earth, a picture of his mother holding him as a baby. That simple image felt like it belonged to another life now. Outside the dome, Zyra and Keela were moving with a strange kind of grace. Fast, silent, focused. Not like maids. Not like assistants. Like soldiers. Eli could now see what had been hidden all along. Zyra's long robe concealed a combat harness underneath. Keela's soft laugh and bubbly tone had masked years of elite training. Their eyes, always calm before, now flickered with alertness as they scanned the sky and checked their weapons. This wasn't a house anymore. It was a target. Suddenly, the lights in the hallway flickered. A deep hum began to vibrate through the walls, so low it felt like it was crawling through Eli's bones. Zyra pulled him away from the window. "They're closer than we thought." Keela moved to the control panel on the wall. Her fingers danced across the keys. A hidden drawer in the floor slid open with a hiss, revealing a dark tunnel. "We leave now." But just as they were about to move, the ceiling above them cracked with a heavy boom. The lights died. The sky above turned black. And then, they came. 3 figures dropped through the broken skylight. They didn't make a sound. No screams. No voices. No weapons in hand, yet everything about them screamed death. Eli stared at them in horror. Their skin was metallic. Their eyes glowed bright white. They had no mouths. No visible breathing. Their bodies moved with unnatural smoothness. "Void assassins," Zyra whispered. "Synthetic hunters. No soul. No mercy." Before Eli could speak, the room exploded into motion. Zyra launched herself at the first assassin with a silent scream, her body spinning midair as her blade struck. Sparks flew. The metal creature staggered back, leaking some kind of glowing black fluid. Keela grabbed Eli by the wrist and pulled him toward the hidden tunnel. "We have 30 seconds." But Eli stopped. He turned. One of the assassins was scanning him, its eyes flickering rapidly, its chest blinking with symbols. Eli's chest began to burn. Literally. Right in the center of his chest, under the skin, a heat started to grow. He gasped and pulled open his shirt. There, glowing faintly beneath the skin, was a small star-shaped light. "Zyra," he shouted. "Something's happening." Zyra's eyes widened. "They've triggered the mark. They're trying to copy your signature." The assassin stepped forward and reached out, not to kill, but to absorb. Keela didn't hesitate. She threw her blade straight into the creature's eye. The metal body jerked back, short-circuiting. But the other 2 were still coming. "Go," Zyra screamed. This time, Eli didn't argue. They jumped into the tunnel. The hatch slammed shut above them, sealing the dome house behind. Darkness surrounded them, lit only by a soft emergency glow along the floor. Their feet pounded the ground as they ran through the long tunnel. Every few seconds, a distant rumble echoed behind them. either the house collapsing or something worse. After 5 minutes of running, they reached a locked hatch. Keela entered a code. It didn't work. "What's wrong?" Eli asked. "They're jamming the system." Suddenly, the wall beside them beeped. It slid open. No one touched it. A voice came from the darkness. "He doesn't belong to you." Zira grabbed Eli and pushed him behind her. From the shadows, another figure stepped forward. Not metal. Not alien. But human. A man, dressed in a deep black uniform with silver symbols on his chest, stepped into the light. His face was pale, his hair white, but his eyes were completely black. He looked like he hadn't aged in decades. Eli stared. Who are you?" The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'm your mirror, Eli, the one who came before, the one who failed." Zira gasped. "No, that's impossible. He died in the fire wars." The man looked at her. "They told you that, but we both know the truth, don't we?" Eli stepped forward. "What do you want?" The man tilted his head. "You think the prophecy is about saving the galaxy. It's not. It's about restarting it, burning everything down so something new can grow. I did it once. I'll do it again." Zira raised her blade. "You won't touch him." The man raised a hand. Eli's chest burned again, worse this time. He dropped to his knees, gasping. The glowing star in his chest was pulsing wildly now. "He's not ready," the man said, "but soon he will be. And when he is, you'll wish you had let me end it now." Then, with a hiss of static, the man vanished, like smoke in the wind. Silence returned. Eli lay on the floor, breathing hard. Zira dropped beside him. "You okay?" Eli looked at her, pale and shaking. "I just met a version of me, from another time, and he wanted to kill me." Zira nodded. "He's the Echo, the failed one, the last chosen star." Keela pulled Eli up. "He didn't finish the prophecy, but you will." The locked hatch suddenly clicked open. Keela smiled. "He left it open on purpose. He wants us to keep going." Eli looked back once, just once, at the long dark tunnel behind them. Then he turned forward, toward the unknown. Memories that aren't mine. The hatch opened with a heavy clang, revealing a narrow bridge made of glowing stone. It stretched out over a deep canyon filled with thick blue mist that moved like it was alive. Eli stepped forward slowly, his legs weak from the pain in his chest. Keela walked beside him, scanning the surroundings with sharp eyes. Zira followed behind, silent but alert. No one spoke. The silence wasn't just in the air. It was in Eli's mind too. Ever since the encounter with the mysterious man who called himself the Mirror, something inside Eli had shifted. It felt like someone had opened a locked door inside him. And now something was leaking out. Old voices, images, sensations he had never experienced. He stumbled suddenly and grabbed the railing. For a moment, the canyon below wasn't filled with mist anymore. It was filled with fire. Flames rose from cities he didn't recognize. Alien ships burned in the sky. Screams, thousands of screams, rushed into his ears, and in the center of it all stood him. But it wasn't this him. It was another version, one with white glowing eyes, with energy flowing from his body like a storm. A destroyer. Eli gasped and dropped to his knees. "Eli." Keela rushed to his side. Zira knelt too, pulling a small crystal from her pocket and placing it on Eli's forehead. The crystal pulsed and sent a calming wave through his body. "Breathe," she said. "You're not dying. You're remembering." Eli looked at her with wide eyes. "Remembering what?" Zira's voice was low. "Your other selves." Keela helped him sit upright. "The chosen star is not just one person. It's a soul that returns again and again. Sometimes it saves the galaxy. Sometimes it destroys it." Eli shivered. "So that man, the one who came before me, Zira nodded. He was one of you, and he chose war. Eli looked down at his shaking hands. What if I make the same mistake? Zira didn't answer. Instead, she stood and pointed to the far end of the bridge. The large stone gate was opening slowly, revealing a dark chamber beyond. The Sanctum of Echoes, she said. It holds memories of all the psyche that came before. If you want answers, you'll find them there. Eli took a deep breath and stood up. I want to know everything. The inside of the sanctum felt ancient, older than anything Eli had ever seen. The walls were covered in symbols that moved like ink in water. Strange lights floated in the air, flickering in and out of sight. At the center was a large mirror, but it wasn't glass. It was liquid, and it shimmered with stars. This is the pool of memory, Keela said. If you touch it, it will show you your past lives. Zira added, but it will also show you their pain, their failures, their fears. Eli walked forward slowly. His fingers hovered just above the surface. Then, he touched it. The world vanished. Suddenly, Eli was standing in a battlefield of dust and lightning. He wasn't himself anymore. He was wearing golden armor, leading a group of alien warriors. The sky above burned with fire. He saw another vision, himself as a healer, using glowing hands to bring a dying child back to life. Another flash. He was on trial, surrounded by angry voices. You've gone too far. Power like yours can't be trusted. Then, a vision of betrayal. He stood before a massive council, holding a weapon made of light. Behind him, his most trusted friend stabbed him through the back. Eli fell, and the stars fell with him. He pulled his hand back from the mirror and collapsed to the ground, gasping. Keela rushed to him. What did you see? Eli could barely speak. So much, too much. Pain, war, betrayal. Zira helped him sit against the wall. Now you know the truth. Being the psyche doesn't mean you're a hero. It just means you have the power to choose. Eli closed his eyes. The memories still echoed in his mind like thunder, but one image stayed stronger than the rest. A symbol, a star within a circle, glowing with 7 lines. He opened his eyes. I saw that symbol, in every life. On armor, on temples, even on a baby's crib. Zira's eyes widened. That's the seal of continuum. It marks the place where the core is hidden. The core? Eli asked. Keela nodded. The heart of the galaxy. The source of all life energy. It can create or erase everything. Eli stood up slowly. And that's what they want from me. To use the core. Zira's face darkened. No, they want to use you to open it. Because only the chosen star can unlock it. Eli looked around the chamber. The air felt heavier now. If they open the core with the wrong intent. Keela finished the sentence, her voice trembling. The galaxy will burn. Zira stepped forward. That's why we must find it first. Before the mirror, before the council, before anyone. Eli nodded slowly. For the first time since this journey began, he didn't feel like a lost technician. He felt like something more. Something ancient. Something powerful. I'm ready, he said. Take me there. Zira and Keela looked at each other, and then the chamber began to shake. A new voice echoed through the sanctum, cold, robotic, and full of menace. You've seen enough. Now it's our turn. Eli turned toward the entrance. The Void Assassins had found them, and this time, they didn't come alone. They escaped to nowhere. The Sanctum of Echoes trembled as dust rained from the ceiling. Ancient pillars cracked. The glowing wall symbols flickered like dying stars. Eli turned toward the entrance just in time to see the Void Assassins stepping through the shadows. But this time, they weren't alone. Behind them came a towering figure, twice the size of a normal man, its armor black as midnight and trimmed with pulsing red veins. Its face was hidden by a smooth mask with no eyes, no mouth, just a symbol glowing across it. The broken star. Zyra's expression turned grim. No, it's him. The Warden of Silence. Keela's hands trembled slightly, something Eli had never seen before. He was the last to guard the core, before he betrayed the continuum. Eli stepped back. What does he want? The masked giant stepped forward, and his voice, mechanical and cold, echoed through the entire chamber. We've come to collect what was promised. The key, the body, the spark. Eli clenched his fists. I'm not going with you. You will, the warden replied, alive or shattered. The assassins lunged. Zyra didn't hesitate. She drew twin energy blades and met them midair. Sparks exploded. The walls of the sanctum lit up in pulses of blue and gold. Keela pulled Eli behind a fallen column. We can't stay here. There's a hidden path behind the memory pool. Help me. Together, they rushed toward the shimmering pool of stars at the center of the chamber. As they approached, the surface rippled and opened like liquid glass, revealing a set of stairs spiraling downward. Quick, Keela shouted. Zyra shouted something behind them in Velari, a warning. Eli turned just in time to see the warden raising a black spear. He threw it like lightning. Keela shoved Eli down the stairs. The spear missed by inches and shattered the wall beside them. The steps began to collapse. Keela grabbed Eli's hand and jumped. They fell through open space, then landed hard on a metal platform. Eli groaned, blinking. He was inside some kind of forgotten chamber. Old machines lined the walls. The air was cold and smelled like dust and ozone. Strange crystal panels flickered dimly, reacting to their presence. Zyra dropped down behind them a second later, landing like a cat. We don't have long, she said, pulling Eli up. Keela found a control panel and touched it. The platform began to move, rising slowly on a column of light. Where are we going? Eli asked. Down, Zyra said. Deeper than any ship or scanner can reach. To the moon route, the place where the first light of the core touched this galaxy. Eli looked around, his voice shaking. What is this place? A sanctuary built by the first chosen star, Keela said, buried in the center of the world. Eli stared at the walls as the elevator descended. Scenes flickered to life around him. Holograms of ancient battles, of humans and aliens fighting together, and of a star exploding into 1,000 shards. One shard looked like it entered a child. He stepped closer to the wall. That's me, isn't it? Zyra nodded. That's one of you. As the platform reached the bottom, a large circular door opened. What lay beyond took Eli's breath away. The chamber was vast, larger than a stadium, glowing with soft golden light. Floating in the center was a crystal sphere, spinning slowly, filled with stars. It pulsed with each of Eli's heartbeats. The core, Keela whispered, or at least, its echo. Eli stepped forward. As he approached, the sphere reacted, growing brighter. Then a voice filled the chamber, not from outside, but from inside Eli's mind. Welcome, Starborn. You have returned, at last. Eli dropped to his knees. The sphere hovered closer. You have questions, and I have memories. Suddenly, time stopped. Eli's mind was pulled into the sphere. He stood on an ancient battlefield again, but this time as himself, not a vision, not a ghost. He looked down at his hands. They glowed with the same golden energy as the core. Around him, soldiers kneeled, Velari, human, and others from species he'd never seen. A voice, his own, spoke from within him. The core does not choose those who seek power. It chooses those who carry pain and still protect. Eli gasped as the vision faded. He was back in the chamber, tears in his eyes. Zyra stood beside him. What did you see? My past life, he said quietly. I was good once. A protector. Keela looked at the core. And you can be again. Suddenly, the chamber shuddered. The door they came through melted open, cut from the outside. The Warden of Silence stepped in, dragging the shattered assassin behind him. "Beautiful," he said, staring at the core. "But you were never meant to hold it." Zira and Kila stepped between him and Eli. "You won't touch him," Kila said. The Warden laughed, deep and empty. "Who said I need him alive?" He lifted a black device, sharp and humming. Eli knew what it was. A memory eraser, illegal tech that could wipe a soul clean. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He stepped forward and raised his hand. The star on his chest blazed to life. A wave of light exploded from him, throwing the Warden back and shaking the chamber. The core pulsed. Zira's eyes widened. "You activated it." Kila gasped. "But that means—" Eli fell to one knee. The light around him faded. His voice was soft. "They know where I am now." Zira nodded. "All of them." Kila whispered, "Every empire, every seeker, every darkness." Eli looked at the core. "Then we don't run anymore." The war for one man. For the first time in 1,000 years, the core had awakened, and the galaxy felt it. Every ancient sensor buried on every old world blinked back to life. Deep in the heart of fallen empires and forgotten warships floating in dead space, alarms sounded. Some celebrated. Others panicked. A few whispered, "He lives again." In the depths of space, massive fleets began to shift their course, all because of one human. Far below, in the hidden chamber of the moon root, Eli sat cross-legged beneath the pulsing core. His hands trembled in his lap, his breathing shallow. He felt like he'd just run for days and dreamed for centuries. Inside his chest, the glowing star had dimmed, but not gone out. Zira and Kila stood close, forming a silent guard. He finally opened his eyes. "They're coming, aren't they?" Zira nodded. The signal reached the Continuum Council. "Their ships will arrive within hours." Kila added, "Others too, not just the Council. Hunters, cults, lost kings, anyone who believes the core belongs to them." Eli took a deep breath. "So what happens now?" Zira met his gaze. "Now, you lead." In orbit above Tursala 9, the stars shimmered as ships began to appear one by one. These weren't regular ships. They were cathedrals of war. Each one carried its own army, banners of different star systems waving like a challenge in the void. The Crimson Accord, who worshipped destruction. The Silent Chain, whose members replaced their bodies with living code. The Sons of the Fallen Light, exiles who believed the core must remain hidden forever. Each group had their reason. Each wanted the human. On the ground, the sanctuary transformed. Hidden walls opened, revealing control panels and ancient machines that hadn't moved in ages. The memory of the first chosen star had returned, unlocking forgotten defenses, lost technology, and something more. Something alive. Dozens of guardians, humanoid constructs made of crystal and starlight, rose from their resting places. Their eyes glowed with the same light as Eli's chest. Kila walked among them, stunned. They'd been waiting. All this time. Zira smiled softly. Not for war. For him. Eli stood on a platform that now overlooked the chamber, his silhouette glowing in the golden light. "I don't want to fight," he said. "I want peace." Zira shook her head. "Peace must be protected." A voice rang out from the walls, a message being broadcast from orbit. "This is High Commander Valen of the Crimson Accord. You will surrender the human now, or face complete planetary erasure." Eli looked at the core, then back at the screen. "Put me through." Kila pressed a few keys. Eli's voice echoed through the stars. "To anyone who can hear me, I don't belong to your prophecy. I don't want your throne. But I will not be taken. If you want the core, come and try." He cut the signal. Kila gave him a sideways grin. That was either brave or very stupid. Eli shrugged. "I guess we'll find out." The first wave arrived within the hour. Assault pods rained down from the sky, glowing red as they tore through the planet's surface. The sanctuary's defenses activated. Beams of pure light shot up from the Earth, striking the enemy ships. Guardians moved like dancers across the battlefield. Silent, graceful, deadly. Zira and Kila led squads of protectors, slicing through enemy units with unmatched precision. But Eli stayed at the heart of the sanctuary, not hiding, channeling. The core pulsed in sync with him now. Its energy flowed through his veins like warm lightning. For the first time, he understood it, not as a weapon, but as a living force. He reached into its memory and found blueprints, systems, languages he'd never learned, but suddenly knew. His voice echoed in the air. Open the star shield. A ring of light exploded from the sanctuary, forming a protective barrier that stretched miles wide. Nothing could get through. For now. Meanwhile, above the planet, ships circled like vultures. In the main ship of the silent chain, a being made of shifting metal watched a screen with growing interest. He's adapting quickly. A voice from behind spoke. He'll be too strong soon. We should strike now. The metal being shook its head. No, let them wear each other down. Then we take what's left. Back on the planet, Eli could feel them watching. All of them. It was like every eye in the universe had turned toward him. And in that moment, he felt completely alone. Until a voice whispered in his mind. A voice soft and familiar. You are not alone. Eli turned. The core pulsed again, brighter this time. From the other side of the chamber, a figure stepped out. It was a woman. Human. Young. Wearing robes of starlight. Her eyes glowed, just like his. Zira froze. Kila whispered, no way. Eli stepped forward. Who are you? The woman smiled. I'm the next one. The core flickered. Eli realized what was happening. The prophecy, he whispered. It's not about one person anymore. The woman nodded. It's about us all. The core is choosing again. No longer a single warrior, but a circle of protectors. Eli felt something unlock in his heart. Hope. Then came the final signal. The biggest ship yet dropped into orbit, covered in shadows, large enough to block moons. The Warden of Silence had returned. With an army of his own. Zira turned to Eli. What now? Eli stared at the sky. Now, he said, we stop running. He was just a man. Until he wasn't. The sky burned red as the Warden's dreadnought descended through the upper atmosphere, its shadow swallowing everything beneath it. The ship was vast, an ancient relic from a forgotten empire, its engines powered by stars long dead. Thousands of smaller ships followed like a swarm of insects, blotting out the horizon. Inside the sanctuary, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ancient arches. The air grew colder. Eli stood at the center of it all, staring up at the sky. He had never felt more human. And yet, something inside him was no longer just human. The core pulsed behind him, steady and calm, its golden light wrapping around his shoulders like a cloak. It no longer responded to his fear. It answered his will. Zira and Kila stood by his side, their weapons drawn, their eyes burning with purpose. And behind them, the newly awakened circle of guardians, 10 figures from across the galaxy who had each been called by the core, stood ready. Each one was marked by the same glowing star that now shined from Eli's chest. They were different. Not soldiers, not machines, but chosen. Across the battlefield, war machines rolled into position. The enemy was massive, endless, but something was different this time. The galaxy was no longer watching Eli in fear. Now, it was watching to see what he would become. The Warden of Silence landed hard, sending shockwaves across the land. As the dust cleared, he walked alone toward the sanctuary wall, dragging a long obsidian blade behind him. Around him, energy twisted and bent, like reality was folding under his presence. His voice, cold and hollow, rang across the fields. You should have stayed hidden, Starborn. This galaxy needs obedience, not rebirth. Eli stepped forward, his voice calm. You fear what you don't control. That's why you erased us. Why you hunted the core. The warden tilted his head. You don't even know what you are. I'm not a weapon, Eli said. I'm a reminder. He looked around at the chosen ones. We all are. Then the warden attacked. The battle was not like any before. It wasn't just guns and blades. It was energy and memory, faith and will. The core responded to Eli's emotions, shaping the field with his thoughts. As the warden swung his massive blade, Eli raised his hand and summoned a shield of starlight, deflecting the attack with a sound like thunder. Zura and Keela leaped into action, moving with perfect synchronization. Velari blades dancing through enemy lines. The circle fought like they were one mind, one purpose. Still, the enemy was overwhelming. The sky fell in fire. The ground cracked beneath the weight of war. And then Eli was face to face with the warden. They clashed. Power against power. Eli struck with the light of 1,000 lives behind him. The warden countered with the void, the memory of everything lost. Their battle moved across the field, each blow shaking the earth. Every time Eli fell, he rose again, stronger, faster, more focused. But the warden was ancient, ruthless. He fought like one who had killed gods. Eli dropped to one knee, blood on his lip, the light in his chest flickering. The warden raised his blade. You were never enough. But before he could strike, Eli closed his eyes. He didn't fight back with fists. He fought with memory. He remembered the healer, the protector, the father, the friend, the child, the thousands of lives he had lived, and those yet to be born. He remembered what it meant to be human. The star inside his chest blazed, brighter than ever before. And then everything changed. A pulse erupted from Eli, not of light or fire, but of hope. The battlefield froze. The enemy faltered. Ships in orbit flickered. And the warden staggered. What is this? Eli rose to his feet, glowing with golden light. His eyes no longer reflected fear. They reflected all life. You don't understand, he said softly. This isn't about power. It's about choosing to protect, even when you're afraid. He placed a hand on the warden's chest. The void tried to resist, but the core was stronger. With a final, brilliant flash, the warden's armor cracked and shattered. He dropped to his knees. Then silence. Above, the enemy ships stopped. Some turned. Others lowered their weapons. The signal was clear. The prophecy had not chosen a ruler. It had chosen a reminder of what could be. Peace was no longer a dream. It was a choice. And Eli had made it. Hours passed. The battlefield quieted. Eli stood on a high ridge, overlooking the land. The circle of guardians had begun their journey, spreading across the stars, carrying the core's light to those who have forgotten it. Zira and Keela stood at his side, no longer as protectors, but as friends. What happens now? Keela asked. Eli smiled. We build something new. Zira looked up at the sky. Will they come back? Probably, Eli said. Darkness always does. Keela nudged his shoulder. But now we know how to fight it. Eli nodded. He turned, walking toward the ship that would take them to the next world in need. As he stepped into the light, the mark on his chest pulsed gently, no longer burning, no longer wild, but steady. He was no longer just a man. He was the first of many.